What's up, everybody? This is Flash001 USA, and today is Friday. It's December 5th, 2014. Now, in this video, I want to cover a topic that I really feel is worthy of sharing with everybody. What we're going to be talking about is Liposomal Vitamin C. If you've never heard of it, don't worry. I'm going to be covering the highlights in this video. But just to give you a basic description of it, it's regular vitamin C that has been encapsulated. And what that allows it to do is to bypass your stomach without being degraded by your enzymes or whatnot and get into your intestinal tract where you got a high absorption rate of it. Now, rather than me trying to explain everything myself, I've included some video links in the description box below in this video here. 3 videos in particular. Watch them in the order that I have them. Now, the first video is actually up on my channel, and it's a compilation of 2 separate videos where I took clips and put them together to make one video. And the first half of the video discusses absorption rates of vitamin C when it's delivered to you in different methods. The second half of it is an eye-opener. I'm telling you right now. It's a doctor doing a conference, and he is discussing things that can be done with vitamin C. I'm going to show you how you can make this stuff yourself, along with a list for everything that you're going to need for the job, including links where to find everything. This way you won't have to be going on a scavenger hunt. And then we're going to step into my kitchen, and I'm going to let you see me make a batch of this up front and close, and you'll see what the process looks like to make it. Alright, you have 2 different camps when it comes to making liposomal vitamin C. You have the first group of people, and they're staunch on using nothing but all natural ingredients. Then you have another group of people that's just as happy using the powdered stuff that you get at the drugstore or at the natural food store. Now, both my wife and I have been using this for about 3 weeks now, and what I wound up doing was combining both methods together. And for me, that seemed to work the best. Now, before we step into the kitchen and make a batch of this stuff up, I'm going to share both mine and my wife's experiences that we've seen using this stuff. I'll start with me first. The first week that I was using it, I could tell that I had a little bit more spring in my step and I was a little bit more clear-headed, but I wasn't sure if it was a placebo effect or not. But to give you some history on myself, I'm a musician, and I've been playing professionally on stage for over 30 years, and about 5 years ago, I wound up messing up my shoulder because a guitar strap had gouged into me and messed up my nerves. But it was something that I didn't pay that much attention to, as I wasn't aware of how bad the damage was. And about 1.5 years ago, it got so bad, just all of a sudden too, I was on stage, and the pain was so bad I had to literally go and get a towel and put it under my strap to finish out the show that night. And I wound up having to get an ergonomic strap just to continue playing. It was that bad. And although I got the weight off my shoulder, the damage never went away. So if I ever had a bad night's sleep, or if I overextended myself doing something, it didn't matter what it was, the shoulder would always give out on me. So I had to be careful and baby it so that I wouldn't be down for the count. Okay, leading up to now, about 2 weeks into using this stuff, I was outside in the yard, and I was doing some cleaning up out here, just getting stuff ready for wintertime. And I had been moving heavy stuff all day, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, hey, guess what? My shoulder's not bothering me at all. It didn't give out on me. It just didn't give me any problems. Now, can I say that this stuff here was the reason behind that? No, but it sure is a coincidence that this is not let off at all until all of a sudden I started using this stuff. So this is now the 3rd week that I've been using it, and my shoulder, yeah, I can tell that I messed it up, but I don't get in pain with it anymore. It doesn't bother me anymore. So that's my story. Now to my wife, and this was a little bit more heavy-dutier. Now, my wife was diagnosed about 2 years ago with congestive heart failure. She had gotten sick, and part of her heart stretched out, and any of y'all know what that is. That's pretty much a death sentence. And she's on all sorts of medications to keep the water off her body, because whenever you have heart conditions like that, you have bad circulation, which means you store what? You store a lot of fluid. Okay, she started noticing that her shoes were looser. And then a girl she works with come up to her and said, hey, are you on a diet or something? Because she could tell that she was losing weight. But she hadn't told me this. So we were at dinner one night, we're sitting down talking. I said, hey, you know, I just happened to come across my mind. I was like, yeah, let me ask you a question. I said, have you noticed any difference that you've been using this stuff? And I proceeded to tell her what I'm telling you right now. And that's when she turned around and looked at me and goes, well, you're not going to believe this. And she told me what I just told you. So whatever it's worth, I'm sharing this little story with you. And I really hope you guys give this a try, because I honestly think there's something to this. So I'm going to pause the camera out. Let's go in the kitchen. We're going to make a batch of this stuff up. The first thing that we're going to cover are the core ingredients that you need to make this stuff with. And as I had mentioned in the previous clip, you do have two different camps. You have one group of people that are only going to make this stuff with natural vitamin C. You have another group of people that are just as happy with the vitamin C powder that they get from the drugstore or the health food store. And as I had mentioned, I combine both of them together. I make this stuff up just like I was making it all natural, but I give it a boost with the vitamin C powder that you see on the far right over here. And let's go ahead and cover the ingredients. This is where a lot of people drop the ball in their videos too. They don't cover their ingredients in detail, so you don't know exactly what they're dealing with. But this is Solar Ray. It's vitamin C powder. It's 5,000 milligrams, and I actually got this from the health food store. That's 5,000 milligrams per tablespoon. The next thing is the natural stuff. I hope I don't butcher this. Remember me telling you about the cherry that's indigenous to South America? This is called acerola cherry. And as I said, I'll have all the links to everything, so don't sweat it. Okay, this is the magic ingredient right here. I'll let you get a good look at this. You can use soy or sunflower. It really doesn't matter. And this stuff is called lecithin. Okay? This is what does the magic. And I'm going to explain what this does. I told you at the beginning of the video I'd give you some details, so here we go. This stuff here encapsulates the vitamin C. It's kind of like puts a magic coating around it. Of course, you got to go through some steps, and we're going to cover that in the second part of this video. But basically, when you mix all the ingredients together, this stuff here encapsulates the vitamin C, so when you take it, that your stomach can't get a hold of it and digest it, break it down. And it allows it to get into your intestinal tract where it can be absorbed. Not only that, the lecithin itself is also very good brain food, and it's also, if I'm not mistaken guys, it's also the stuff that coats all of the wires inside your nervous system. It's like the plastic coating on the wires to keep them from shorting out. So this stuff here is great. It's good for you. Now you got to use non-GMO, whether you're using sunflower or soy. Personally, I don't want to have soy anything in my body. Sorry, I don't want it. So I use the sunflower stuff right here. Okay, this is an option. So what I'm doing, I'm using actually a tart cherry juice, okay? This stuff is, this is not from concentrate. This is the cherry juice that's extracted from the cherries. And the good thing about this is it also contains vitamin C, and it contains other things. It contains potassium and all the other natural ingredients that's in the juice, so you're kind of getting a little bit more out of it. But that's going to be the four things that we got right there. And we're going to cover next a list of the tools you're going to need, which is very little. And I'm going to explain to you what the tools do and how to make this stuff do its mojo for you. Okay, here's a list of the tools that you're going to need. You'll need you a good quality measuring cup. You're going to need you some measuring spoons, mainly for the tablespoon part of it. We'll set that aside. You need your 2-pint mason jars, preferably with lids. There's the other one. You need your quart mason jar, this so you can combine everything together, and we'll get to this as the video moves forward. You need a way to mix the ingredients. Now I'm using this little bullet right here. Now some people don't like to use them because they're concerned that when they're mixing up their vitamin C, that with the air bubbles in there it spins up so fast that you can put oxygen in it and I guess deteriorate it. I don't see that problem. I don't think I am anyhow, because this thing is so loaded full of liquid there really isn't enough space in here to hold enough air into it to degrade the vitamin C. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, we're going to set him back here. This is a must. Do not sponge on this. Do not take a shortcut. Use distilled water only. Not filtered water, not tap water, not rainwater. Use distilled water. That is a must. Now let's get to the magic of this. What you're looking at right here is something that's used to clean jewelry. And this thing is an ultrasonic cleaner. This is the magic. This is what lets the lecithin actually encapsulate the vitamin C. Because this thing is vibrating at like 40,000 times a second. And so basically it's encapsulating the vitamin C through a high frequency vibration. Now if I'm not mistaken, the way they encapsulate industrial vitamin C when they do make it is they do it under pressure and spray it out of a nozzle or something, and then it hits the surface at a very, very high pressure, and that encapsulates it also. But for us doing this at home, this is the way to do it. I'm Going to have links, as I mentioned, for all this stuff. Trust me on this. You don't want to take any shortcuts with this either, because you can go get these guys at Harbor Freight and they only run for 3 minutes. They tell you to run these things for 15 minutes making a batch. I run mine for 30. So this thing here gives me 5 settings. I'm able to run it 8 minutes at a clip, and I can turn back around while it's running and reset it before it zeroes out. And I normally run it, like I said, I run it for 4 cycles for a total of 32 minutes. And you can tell, like I said, you'll be able to tell by looking at this stuff that this thing is actually doing something to it. It just takes on a whole different texture. So there it is, and as I had mentioned, I'll be covering this all in the links in the video. You'll know where to get every bit of this stuff. So that'll be a non-issue for you. The headache will be taken out of it. Okay, what I'm going to do right now, guys, we're going to set up and we're going to start making some of this stuff. Now, as I had mentioned, I do combine both methods together, and the first thing that I do is prepare my liquid medium that my vitamin C and my lecithin is going to be added to. So I've got my measuring cup, I've got my cherry juice. I'm going to use 1 cup of this. By the way, this is all natural too. I cannot stress that enough. Don't use anything that's got added stuff to it. It's got to be all natural juice if you decide to use juice. You don't have to, but I think it's better. Pour that in the jar. Now we're going to add a cup of distilled water to this. Okay? 1 cup. That's all of our liquid right there. We're going to add this to it. Let's see if you can see this. Yes, you can. I'm going to borrow a lid from one of these other jars over here since I was 1 shy. I'm just going to kind of take it, mix it up a little bit. I'm going to take the lid off. Now what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to put this in the microwave oven for about 40-50 seconds. I don't want it hot. I do want it just a little bit warm to the touch, because what it's going to do is going to make the ingredients break up a little bit easier in it. So I'm going to take this to the microwave oven and we'll be right back. Okay, let the fiesta begin. Now remember, this big jar right here, this is 2 cups. It's half a cup of the cherry juice and half a cup of water, distilled water. We're going to add half of this, or 1 cup, into our blender right here. I'll measure this out. I'll go over here to the measuring cup so I can be all scientific about it. Yeah. Okay, that's half of it. Now hopefully this is getting in the camera. I'm going to add this. Now we're going to add the lecithin to this. We're going to add 4 tablespoons. You don't have to be critical with it, just make sure they're decent tablespoons. Here's 1. Hopefully this is getting in the camera. I'm using the powder stuff, and I think you can get the stuff liquid also. That's 2. 3. 4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to blend this for 1 minute. This way we know it's all going to get good and mixed up and break down and not have any lumps or clumps. If you do see any lumps, continue mixing. This guy right here, we're going to bring the blender over here. Make sure everything's in the video for you. I always do that number right there, just kind of help along. And all we're going to do is we're going to mix this for 1 minute, okay? So, here we go. Okay. Now this is part of the equation. Now you're going to know why we have all these jars here. I'm going to add this guy right here. As you can see, it's very mixed up. It's got a little bit of foam in it, but that's not an issue. So that's our first part of the equation. Now we're going to take the second batch. We're going to add a cup, or the other half of this in here. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wash this out. because it's all going to be mixed together anyhow. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to add, like I said, keep in mind that I make my own versions of this. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of the vitamin C powder. This is the non-natural, or it can be natural that's extracted from fruits. So this stuff is supposedly pure ascorbic acid, so it gets a seal of approval from the health food store that I got it from. So all I'm going to do, I don't have to mix this for a minute. Hell, I can almost do that right there and be done with it. I'll mix it for about 5 or 10 seconds. Done. Now we're going to turn back around and we're going to add the natural vitamin C to this. Now remember, I just added 1 tablespoon of the vitamin C powder. I'm going to turn back around and add 3 tablespoons of the natural vitamin C to it, or the acerola cherry, or whatever you want to call it. Try to keep your measurements equal to what it was with the lecithin. So just, keep everything on an even keel. It's going to be 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do the same thing. And we're going to run this through the ringer for a whole minute. I'm actually using my phone over here, so I'm using this as a timer. So here we go. Bring this over here so you guys can see the magic up front and close. Ready? Alright, that's our 1 minute. Now we got both of these guys here. And you're probably thinking, I'm going to pour it into this jar here. Nope, not yet. Let's pour him into the big jar. We'll set this in the sink. Okay, now we got our lecithin mixer here. We're going to add this to it. Bada bing. Put the lid on this guy right here. We want both of them to be mixed together. Now because I am using such a small blender, that's why I've got the extra jar over here. If I had my big blender, I would only need but 1 of these jars right here, just to kind of make you guys aware of that. I'd only need 1 pint jar. But I want to make sure that all the ingredients now are mixed, and you're not going to run this for no long period of time, just maybe about 10 or 15 seconds. So I'll fill this up. We're going to cap this off. I could have done this with just another big jar, but anyhow, when everything's finished, this jar will fill all the way to the top. It'll hold right at 2 cups. So that's why I've just got these small jars out here. Okay guys, let's bring this over and make sure that's sealed. Get them in the pitcher in there. On second thought, what the Hades? I'll just go ahead and put this back into the measuring cup. I don't have to get all critical with it. That way I just use 1 of those jars. Okay, add the rest of this in here. I just want everything, all the ingredients as a whole, to be mixed. Do this. Okay. Get your big jar back out. Now notice there's a little bit of a foam head on here. We're not going to be putting this into the ultrasonic cleaner just yet. I want to let everything stabilize. If there's any micro bubbles in the mixture, the ultrasonic cleaner won't do its job. It won't do it as efficiently. So now we're going to put everything back because we know everything pretty much has been mixed. Okay, so let's put this guy right here back on him. what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the fridge and just let it cool down for about an hour. What will happen is everything will settle down, the foam head will actually drop down a little bit on it, and then we're ready for the final stage of this, which is going to be running it through the ultrasonic cleaner and causing the vitamin C to be encapsulated by the lecithin. Okay, so on that note, let's put this in the fridge. The stuff has been here for 10 minutes and it's already starting to settle down and stabilize. We'll come back in an hour and we're going to rock and roll with this stuff. Okay, we're on the final stretch of this and our vitamin C is settled down now. You can see it lost a lot of that foam that it had in the fridge, so there's no more air bubbles trapped inside of it. And now we're going to add it to the ultrasonic cleaner. Now when this thing runs, it's blasted. It's so high frequency though, you don't hear it. But the camera will probably get wiped out with it. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn the time up. Right now I've got 3 minutes on it, or 180 seconds. There's 8 minutes, that's 480 seconds. And if you notice, there is a little bit of a foam on top of this. That's going to be all gone once this thing starts vibrating it. So here we go. I'm going to hit the on button. And you'll need to stir this occasionally. Do it with a little plastic spoon, a straw or something. I wouldn't use any kind of metal in it, even though the thing internally is made out of stainless steel. I'm going to let it sit here and run for about 2 or 3 minutes and just kind of get it going. Then I'm going to come in here and start stirring it. Come back for a second. I'm going to close this. It's probably so loud that it's blasting the camera out when I lift the lid up, but you don't hear it in the room, which means it's technically deafening to probably animals that can hear it. But I'm going to zoom in and let you see the surface of this. Notice that a lot of the bubbles are starting to break up on it. I'm going to raise up here. I want you to see the shaking action on this thing. Looks like something out of a lava pit. Now that's happening all through it right there, what you're seeing. I'll zoom back out. Now it's got to be stirred on occasion. I'll stir it about every 30 seconds, every 45 seconds. You just want to make sure that all of it gets mixed up. You want to be sure that all of it gets exposed to the ultrasonic transducer in there, okay? So I'll stir it up. I'm going to close the lid. I bet that's blasting the microphone when I open it up. I figured this out. I was seeing somebody else doing this on a video. They weren't even aware of it. And I'm going to tell you right now, when they got near their ultrasonic cleaner, it just blew the camera away. And I figured it out. I was on the cell phone one day making a batch of this stuff. The person talking to me was like, "Hey, I can't hear a damn thing you're saying." Said all I hear is a bunch of distortion. And I went back and dialed the house here and listened to it on the answer machine. And I figured out what they were listening to. I was like, wow. But that's it, guys, right there. That's how you do this. Now, as I had mentioned, this guy here, it has 5 settings on it, all the way from a minimum of 3 minutes all the way up to a total of 8 minutes. And I'll run this thing for 4 cycles. And as it counts down, basically all I have to do is reach down and hit the button and just keep it going while it's doing its mojo here. And I'm going to show you this also, because I'm getting down to the last bit of time on here. So I'll pause back out, I'll bring it back in and show you guys how I'm resetting this. So if you decide to go with this unit here, you'll know how to do this and not have to deal with any hassles with it. Okay, the last 10 seconds counting down. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Reset it. There it is. Another 8 minutes has been tagged onto it. We'll take a look at this. I need to stir it up anyhow. I'm going to raise the camera Guys, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible for you. I realize I had a lot of stuff on the beginning of it when I was outside, but I just felt it was important that you kind of had a little bit of history on it and kind of heard what I had to say about it. Anyhow, there it is. I'm going to let you see this up front and close. I don't know what the camera's seeing, but you see it shimmering on the top. Okay, we're on the last, getting ready to start the last cycle here. We're counting down. And this button down here on the bottom resets it. Okay. Now once it runs on this, we're done. This is going to be a total of 32 minutes. Let's take a look at this. I'm hoping you can see this shimmer like I'm seeing it. I'm going to try to get this at an angle for you. There you go. That's what you need to see right there. You can see this thing just shaking the daylights out of it, okay? That's a lot of agitation there, especially doing that for 30 minutes. I'll turn back around, I'll stir it a little bit. This way we know that all of it gets exposed to those transducers in there. Notice the color of it too. It's starting to take on a dull color. Pretty much all the foam will be gone on this. By the time it's done, it'll be foam free. Like this little bit here and there, that won't even be there. It'll be history. There you go. And notice that it's not doing anything because I stirred it, but now as it slows down the liquid, watch what happens. This is also why you don't want to sit here and just constantly stir it. Like I said, I hit it about every 30 seconds, maybe a minute and a half or whatnot. You just got to make sure that you go in here and rotate it a little bit. That's a good way of putting it. Just rotate the liquid so that all of it eventually gets exposed to the ultrasonic transducer. Here's our final product after we process it through the ultrasonic cleaner, and we now have the real deal encapsulated vitamin C, or liposomal vitamin C, whatever you want to call it. Just a side note, if you don't use the fruit juice with this, it'll be a much paler color, so be aware of that. And the consistency of this is roughly in the realms of milk. You can see what I'm doing here. You can see it switches through pretty easy, just so that you're aware of that. Alright, let's discuss the dosages. You're going to take about 3 ounces a day, and since there's 16 ounces in this jar, that's 5 days with an extra shot left over, which you can take whenever you want to take it. It really doesn't matter. Now, here's how you're going to do it. You need to take this stuff on an empty stomach. If you're a petite person, split it up into 3 1-ounce shots. Take it on an empty stomach. Do not eat anything for 30 minutes after you take it. If you eat food and take this stuff, what's going to happen is it's going to be digested inside of your stomach, and the whole thing of taking this and processing it and making it encapsulated goes right out the window. You want to take it on an empty stomach. It'll pass into your intestinal tract where it can be utilized. For me, I'm a medium-sized person. I'm around 160 pounds. So I get up in the morning and I take an 1.5 ounce shot of this. And then I take another 1.5 ounce shot with me to work. It's about 45 minutes to my job from here, so I take a shot when I first get up. By the time I get to work, it's an hour has passed, I take a second shot of it. And that's pretty much it. So that's how you take it. If you're a big person, you can take a 2-ounce shot on an empty stomach. Now, if you get too much of the vitamin C in you, here's what you'll see. You'll probably see that you'll get a soft stool, or maybe even get a little bit of the runs. If that's the case, cut back the dosage a little bit. Cut it back until everything clears up, and then you're good to go. You're not going to poison yourself with this, and you're not going to hurt yourself with it. This is all natural ingredients. And in reality, you're taking smaller doses of the vitamin C, taking it like this, versus taking it in tablet form, but it's the way it's delivered in your system. that gives it the big bang to you. So there you go. I hope this video helps you guys. This Flash 001 USA. You guys have a good evening. Bye-bye.